Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Govind Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Gaur Haribol Jai Gaur Premanande Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Asutra Sutta Srimad Srila Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudhirayet Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So reading from Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, entitled The Kapila's Instructions on the Execution of Devotional Service. We're on verse 26 today. Vaksho Dhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhute Pumsam Manaha Nayana Nirvritim Adadhanam Kantham Cha Kaustubhamane Adibhushanartham Kuryat Manasi Akhilaloka Namaskritasya Vakshodhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhute Pumsam Manonayana Nivritim Adadhanam Kantham cha kaustubhamaner adibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya Vakshodhivasam rishabhasya mahavibhute Pumsam manonayana nirvritim adadhanam Kantham cha kaustubhamaner adibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya Vakshodhivasam rishabhasya mahavibhute Pumsam manonayana nirvritim adadhanam Kantham cha kaustubhamaner adibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya Vakshodhivasam rishabhasya mahavibhute Pumsam manonayana nirvritim adadhanam Kantham cha kaustubham maneradibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya Vakshodhivasam rishabhasya mahavibhute Pumsam manonayana nirvritim adadhanam Kantham cha kaustubhamaner adibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya. Anybody else want to try? Vakshodivasaṁ Rishabhasya Mahavibhute Pumsam Manonayana Nirvritim Madhadanam Kantham cha kaustubhamanir adibhushanartham Kuryan manasya khila loka namaskritasya. Anybody else? Vakshaha, the chest. Adhivasam, the abode. Rishabhasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahavibhute, of Mahalakshmi. Pumsam, of persons. Manaha, to the mind. Nayana, to the eyes. Nivritim, transcendental pleasure. Adadhanam, bestowing. Kantham, the neck. Cha, also. Kaustubha mane, of the Kaustuba gem. Adibhushanartham, which enhances the beauty. Kuryat, he should meditate on. Manasi, in the mind. Akhila loka, by the entire universe. Namaskritasya, who is adored. Translation. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the Supreme Person of the Personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustuba gem which hangs on his chest. Please repeat after me. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the Personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustuba gem which hangs on his chest. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. In the Upanishads, it is said that the various energies of the Lord are working to create, destroy, and maintain. These inconceivable varieties of energy are stored in the bosom of the Lord. As people generally say, God is all-powerful. That prowess is represented by Mahalakshmi, the reservoir of all energies, who is situated on the bosom of the transcendental form of the Lord. The yogi who can meditate perfectly on that spot on the transcendental form of the Lord can derive many material powers which comprise the 8 perfections of the yoga system. It is stated herein that the beauty of the neck of the Lord enhances the beauty of the Kaustuba gem rather than vice versa. The gem itself becomes more beautiful because it is situated on the neck of the Lord. A yogi is therefore recommended to meditate upon the Lord's neck. The Lord's transcendental form can either be meditated upon in the mind or placed in a temple in the form of a statue and decorated in such a way that everyone can contemplate it. Temple worship is therefore meant for persons who are not so advanced that they can meditate upon the form of the Lord. There is no difference between constantly visiting the temple and directly seeing the transcendental form of the Lord. They are of equal value. The advantageous position of the yogi is that he can sit anywhere in a solitary place and meditate upon the form of the Lord. A less advanced person, however, has to go to the temple, and as long as he does not go to the temple, he is unable to see the form of the Lord. Either by hearing, seeing, or meditating, the objective is the transcendental form of the Lord. There is no question of voidness or impersonalism. The Lord can bestow the blessings of transcendental pleasure upon either the visitor of the temple, the meditator yogi, or one who hears about the Lord's transcendental form from scriptures like Srimad Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita. There are 9 processes for executing devotional service, of which smaranam or meditation is one. Yogis take advantage of the process of smaranam, whereas bhakti yogis take special advantage of the process of hearing and chanting. Ryan, can I get my iPad from the charger in there by the sound cabinet? Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vande Guru Nisha Bhaktan Isha Vatarakan Tat Prakacham Satat Shaktim Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam Tulisyam Janma Janmini. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for attending today's Srimad Bhāgavatam class. First, I'd like to beg the blessings of all the senior devotees. And, I don't understand. Okay. So, I would like to beg the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas who are present here. I have not much qualification or realization on the Srimad Bhāgavatam, but I can just try to present according to what my spiritual masters and the Guru Varga has taught me. And if there's any corrections, please feel free to make them. So, we're on a very interesting chapter on the Srimad Bhāgavatam. We're on Canto 3, Chapter 28, Text 26. Today is also the disappearance day of Srila Lochan Das Thakur. And if we have some time at the end, I'd like to discuss this great personality. And because he has made such a contribution to the Vaishnav canon by his work, the Sri Chaitanya Mangal. In this verse of the Srimad Bhāgavatam, this is all stemming from one question from Devahuti that we find in the 27th chapter, the previous chapter. And in chapter 19, Devahuti is asking, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Very pertinent question. If you still are in the material world, how can you live in union with the Lord? It is like the yin-yang principle almost, she's asking about. If you are still in matter, how can you be enjoined with spirit? Can they live with each other? Can they live in continuance with each other? Kapila Muni, he attributes that, he says that the serious discharge of devotional service, then you can actually be in union with the Lord even if you are in this material world. And what is the process he is saying to do this? He is saying to do the process of yoga. And by yoga, and yoga as we know means to connect. And now we're in this position right now in the Bhagavatam where we are discussing the yogi's meditation on the Lord. And what is his meditation today? Every verse we're discussing another form, we're actually working up. If you think of we're going on the chest, and the neck. And so amazing that I was thinking when we're reading this verse, why do people wear jewelry? Why do people wear such nice necklaces and rings and bangles? It's to give attraction to that part of the body, right? And to notice some status or power. But actually, in this context, Srimad Bhāgavatam is saying that actually, that it's not working how jewelry usually works. If I wear a necklace on my chest with a big pendant, then actually I'm attracting people to look at my chest because, oh, such a nice pendant. Oh, let me look at my chest. But actually, Bhagavatam is saying that the neck of the Lord serves to beautify the Kaustuba gem. That's how the beautiful of the neck is that the neck of the Lord is like the jewel. And the Kaustuba gem is actually like a minor thing. The Kaustuba gem should be very thankful that is on the neck of the Lord, because who will look at a Kaustuba? It's the most beautiful gem in the world, it is said. But because it is on the Lord's neck is actually it's the most beautiful. There's one South Indian poet, a great Vaishnava. He says, I would like to see the form of the Lord. These clothes and everything else, it's meant to it's actually distracting me from the original form of the Lord, which is to see Krishna. In South India, they oftentimes they don't offer Krishna a cloth. It's just mainly just like the not the undergarments, but like the lower piece. And then so in the winter, sometimes they put the upper cloth, and he's praying, why are you putting this upper cloth on the Lord? I want to see you as you are. These other things are like corollary, he said. And Srila Prabhupada is saying so many nice things in this purport, and the mind wants to go into different places. But something that is very, very peculiar, this especially for temple residents and temple devotees, and if you're coming to stay at the temple or visiting the temple, temple worship is therefore meant for persons who are not so advanced that they can meditate upon the form of the Lord. So interesting. We think that our whole culmination in spiritual life comes to the point of when we can join the temple. We can live in the house of Krishna and we can serve Krishna all day. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, at least it seems to be, that living in the temple is not so or just simply engage in temple worship is not so advanced. How do we understand this? How can we understand that temple worship is not so advanced? Does anybody want? Ryan, you have the mic. Anybody want to take any thoughts or guesses? I want to hear anybody's thoughts on this. Temple worship is for those who are not so advanced. Okay, Connor, we want to hear you.
Hare Krishna. It says also in the purport that yogis have the advantageous position that they can be anywhere in physical space and still be able to meditate on the form of the Lord. So it seems almost that Srila Prabhupada is saying how the devotees live in the temple so that they can see the Murti and be reminded of Krishna's form and see Krishna directly through the Murti. And in that way, they live in the temple for that reason, as opposed to living anywhere in the world and being able to just simply meditate on the Lord.
Yes.
It seems like a more challenging thing to do, especially in this age.
Yes. This is the right understanding, is that if you can see Krishna everywhere and Krishna anywhere, then But this is taken to another extent by the impersonalists who say that Krishna is everywhere. Why should we visit the temple? Prabhupada, I was just hearing Srila Prabhupada the other day. He said the people who are the most foolish, they'll say that, oh, why should we visit temple? Because Krishna is everywhere. And then Srila Prabhupada responded. He said, Krishna is everywhere except the temple. This is their understanding. Is that they'll see Krishna everywhere, but they won't find time to come to temple to see Krishna and to see the deity. So I have a conversation of Srila Prabhupada where he gives a very good understanding. But first, I'd like to pull up this verse. As we know in the Bhāgavatam and in our Vaishnava of theology, there's 3 different types of Vaishnavas, 3 different types of devotees. The first type of devotee is a Kanishta Adhikari. Adhikari means qualification, basically. Kanishta means like on the lower stage. Madhyama means middle, as Madhya means literally middle. And Uttam means topmost. So there's Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. Now, in the Bhāgavatam itself, there are qualifications of what stage you're in. It is very scientific. So I would like to pull up on a verse that talks about the Kanishta Adhikari. And what is Srila Prabhupada actually saying about, and this is Prabhupada's reference when he's saying temple worship is meant for those who are not so advanced that they can meditate upon the Lord. This is Prabhupada's reference. 47. This is from the 11th canto, chapter 2, text 47. Archayam eva haraye pujam ya shraddhaye hate natad bhakteshu chanyesu sabhakta prakrita smrita. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly towards other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Bhagavatam is saying that yes, we may do so much worship for the deity, we may do so much service for Radha Govinda, but if we have a crooked mentality, Krishna may externally, he may not reject your offering, he may not throw your plate off the altar, but internally he will not accept actually, and he has no reason to accept. He's not obligated to accept your offering. He is svarat. As the first verse of Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikave Muyanti Yat Surayaha. There's this verse that word that comes Svarat. He's completely independent. So he's not obligated just because you have rung a bell or said your prayers to accept your offering. But why will he not accept? Because if you're worshipping the deity but do not behave properly towards other devotees, this is very significant. Why is it so required to behave properly to other devotees? This is a significant point. Now, we think that this is a principle that is given in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. Krishna's Vishnu, in the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj, he says something very significant. He says this verse, which is one of my favorite verses that I like to quote. Aham bhakta paradhino hi asvatantra ivadvaja sadhubhir grasta hridayo bhaktir bhakta janapriya. This is a memorization verse. It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said to the Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the core of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. Now, this is showing the heart. Krishna is showing his heart. Krishna is showing that I am completely under the control of my devotees. So, when we say Vaishnava Aparad, what do we call Vaishnava Aparad? The Hati Mata offense. If you look at Hati Mata, Hati means elephant. and mata means mad. So, hati mata, it means the one mad elephant offense. You might think, what is a mad elephant? I could even pull up a video. I can send it in the residence group. I don't think it's very appropriate for the Bhāgavatam class to show this video. But in this video, I can show, it shows a mad elephant going through a town. So let's say Mr. Ryan Marinera is standing in his town, and then he sees an elephant running towards him. And elephants run fast, even at 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour. It doesn't seem that fast. But this elephant is the size of 3-4 school buses. You try to go left, there's nowhere to go. The elephant will chase you there. You try to go in a hut, and you try to go to a building. The elephant smashes his way through. And Ryan realizes that he's not able to do anything except to be killed by this elephant. There's nothing physically that he can do. Same thing with Vaishnava Aparad. With Vaishnava Aparad, it is called the mad elephant offense, is that when you're growing the creeper of bhakti, bhakti lata bij, after Brahmande Brahmite Kon Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. Brahmande Brahmite Kon. Who is that fortunate Jiva? After traveling all over the Brahmand, means all of the universe, what does he get as prasad? It's the mercy. And whose mercy is he getting it from? Guru Krishna Prasad. What is the prasad he gets? Bhakti Lata Bij. He gets one seed of bhakti. That is in his heart. And he plants this bhakti seed, and he regularly waters it with hearing and chanting. We hear about the pastimes of the Lord, and we chant about Krishna, and we follow the other 9 processes of the Lord. And soon this little seed starts to grow into a little plant, little seedling, and it starts growing a plant, and then seeds start to come, and maybe you'll grow a flower. And that flower can be picked by another Vaishnava and to offer to Krishna. That is you. That is your Bhakti Lata Bij. Now, if you start making Vaishnav Aparad, if you start making offenses to the Vaishnavas, it is the Hati Mata offense. Think about how much an elephant can mess up Ryan. Now think about if you're growing a very small plant and you're so new to this path of bhakti. If a mad elephant comes, an elephant that is angry, and comes to your little flower garden where your bhakti lata is growing, what will that elephant do? Completely destroy the whole thing. Completely destroy, mangle the whole thing. Rest? Am I making sense here? So, same way, when you do Vaishnava Aparad, it breaks all progress that you have done. Now, why does it do that? Because Krishna is completely dependent on his devotees. Yes? And if he's completely dependent on his devotees, and if you're not able to respect his devotees, or to relate with his devotees, or at least be respectful to his devotees, Krishna is thinking, I am completely dependent on my devotees. This person is trying to be a devotee, but he's offending all other devotees, all my devotees. So why should I give him mercy? Why should I accept him at all? Understanding, right? So like if, let's say I have a good relationship with Vasily here. Vasily is and me are good friends. Now Vasily, let's say I have like a dog or like a pet or a child or something that I'm taking care of. Vasily goes and basically doesn't treat this my subordinate very well. My dog. He kicks my dog and he like doesn't. I told him to take care of my dog and he doesn't feed him. He doesn't. And my dog's a big mess after this. And I just say, hey, if you love me, you love my dog. So my relationship with Vasily will not be very good anymore, right? Pretty simple. So same way, the Vaishnavas, no matter what degree, we think Vaishnavas are only the very, very senior devotees, and if you see people, only sannyasis, only this people, only that people, 40, 50 years in ISKCON. Of course, those people have to be respected in years. But even a Vaishnava, maybe a person who is brand new to Krishna consciousness, they're also Vaishnavas. And you may be even offending a potential Vaishnava, and that's why this verse, 11:246 is so 47. 11:247. It even makes the point to say toward people in general that do not behave properly toward other people in general is called a Prakrita Bhakta. There's one devotee I know, he's a very nice devotee, Adi Gadadhar Prabhu from Atlanta. And Adi Gadadhar Prabhu was narrating a story that when he was growing up in Chaupati, when he was starting his Krishna consciousness, there used to be one of his seniors who was a very nice devotee. And he was chanting his rounds, treated the devotees very nicely. So one time Adi Gadadhar Prabhu and this devotee decided to go on yatra to like a holy place. And they were taking the Indian train station. And they're going on the railway line, and they were getting ready, and they were trying to get a ticket, and basically they didn't get the ticket that they wanted, and this person very rudely abused, and basically verbally abused this ticket person. And Adi Gadadhar was shocked, because he's never seen this person act, because he's only seen him in the temple setting. He's never seen him act like this to anybody else. And he was very, very angry, very rude, and basically was shouting at this poor person. And Adi Gadadhar Prabhu narrates is that he could sense that this person was not a friend to all, was not very merciful to all, and eventually this person ended up leaving Krishna consciousness. So even offenses made to other people who are not even devotees, we must be very careful about that, because they have the potential to be a devotee. Now I'm telling you all this just to tell you this, and I'll quote the purport. There's a section in the purport. It says, in the lower stage, the devotee is engaged in deity worship. This is Prabhupada's understand. This is in the Nectar Devotion Talks in Radha Damodar, I believe 1972 or something. Prabhupada's giving 30 days class or many days class in Radha Damodar temple. He's speaking about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this is what Prabhupada says about this. In the lower stage, the devotees engage in deity worship. It is not that deity worship is lower than meditation. We don't mean that. Deity worship is the beginning of devotional service, as it will be mentioned now in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. How to approach the deity, how to cleanse the floor, how to change the dress, flowers, how to make artik. Everything in detail is there. So in the beginning, certainly one who is not advanced, he cannot see Krishna properly. Krishna, when he speaks of Krishna, Krishna is not alone. Just like if we speak of king, the king is coming. It does not mean the king is coming alone. The king is coming. His ministers, his secretaries, his military commanders, his queens, his servants, so many other servitors of the beings, they are coming. Similarly, when we speak of Krishna, Krishna does not mean alone Krishna. You'll see any picture of Krishna, any proper picture of Krishna, Krishna is never alone. Even if there's a solitary picture of Krishna, it is with a peacock, it is with a cow, it is with his devotees. Krishna is never to be worshipped with alone. And Krishna is not happy to be worshipped alone. Krishna wants, imagine you're just there alone. If you have something nice you want to give to people, you always want to enjoy with others. So same way, Krishna is coming with his devotees. Srimati Radharani is his devotee, the Sakhas are his devotees, the cows are his devotees, and Vrindavan, the trees are his devotees. Same way in Krishna's temple, everybody is his devotee, whether they recognize him or not. They understand him or remember him or not. So I've told you about the Kanishtadhikari and kind of things to avoid. Now I'll tell you about a positive thing that you can do. Madhyamadhikari. This is a famous verse from Bhāgavatam. Ishvare tadadanishu balisheshu dvishaschusa prema maitri kripopeksha ya karoti sa madhyama. An intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyamadhikari. What does he do? He offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are good things that you can do to fortify yourself against making Vaishnava aparad. You offer love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, as a homework for you guys, if you guys have time, this 11:46, 11:2:46, 11:2:47 have extensive purports, and the purports are absolutely genius. And the people who are and the disciples of Srila Prabhupada who are quoting, they're extensively quoting Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Madhvacharya, and it tells you about how to actually deal with devotees. So he offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all devotees of the Lord, and he shows mercy to ignorant people. Yes, this is actually what Vaishnavas do. People who we go out there and we distribute these books, and we distribute Harinam, and we distribute love, this mercy to people who are ignorant, people who don't know about Krishna. Tamal Krishna Maharaj says is that he was saying, what is the best garland to offer Krishna? The best garland to offer Krishna is a garland of jivas unto him. And he says, he said in this talk, he was in Houston, he was leaving for preaching. He said, and he was saying this: why should anybody be bereft of the opportunity to hear about Krishna? That's the ball. The ball is on our court. That why everybody in this world should at least get the opportunity to say no, I do not want Krishna. But the issue is that people don't even know what Krishna is. That this is a lifestyle that people can live in complete harmony with the divine, and they don't need to basically live in uncomfortable positions. They can live in a very comfortable position. And what is that comfortable position? Jivere swarupo hoy Krishna nitya das. This is the absolute comfortable position. But people are living in an uncomfortable position by thinking that they are the Purusha, that they are the enjoyer. This mood of being the enjoyer is given in the Bhagavad Gita, and you can see the demonic mentality. This is in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The demonic person thinks, idam adye maya labdham imam prapse manoratham idam asti idam me bhavishyati punardhanam aso maya hata shatru hanishye chaparanapi. Ishvaro, who is the Ishvar? Aham. Siddho ham. Ishvaro ham. And what am also I am? I am the bhogi. I am the enjoyer. I am the supreme Ishvar. I am God. Siddho ham. I am perfect. And what am I? I'm Balavan. I am the strongest. And I am Sukhi. I am the most happy. Adyo bhijanavan asmi. Konyo sti. Konyo, who? Sti sadrisho maya yakshe dasyami modishya iti agyana vimohita. The demonic person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy. I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I'm perfect. I'm powerful. I'm happy. I'm the richest, surrounded by so much aristocratic relatives. There's nobody who's so powerful and so happy as me. And this is the zinger, I perform some sacrifice. I'll give some charity, and thus I will be happy. In this way, such people are deluded by ignorance. This is the demonic personality, and this is why we go out and we help people who are in ignorance. Now, I'll just, in one part of the purport, this purport is huge, but I will just quote one part of the purport. Yes, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given an elaborate explanation to prove that the discrimination employed by a Madhyam Adhikari preacher does not at all show a lack of mercy. This is touching on the last point of this verse, that disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now you may say those who are envious of those who are come and attack the Harinam, they need mercy too. Why are we not giving them mercy? Now this is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying. It's very good for us if we're out in Harinam or outside, that we need to let some people be, By a Madhyam Adhikari preacher does not show at all a lack of mercy. He states that upeksha, or neglect, as mentioned in this verse, is the proper medicine for those who are inimical to the Supreme Lord and the devotees. Indifference from the preacher checks feelings of hostility on both sides. Although there is a Vedic injunction that one should cut out the tongue of a person who offends the Supreme Lord and his devotees, in this age it is best simply to avoid potential offenders and thus prevent them from committing further sinful activities against the Vaishnavas. It is the duty of a Vaishnava preacher to point out the futility of any process besides surrendering to the Supreme Lord. An envious person, however, will resent such strong preaching by a Vaishnava and disrespect him, considering the Vaishnava to be unnecessarily criticizing others. Such a person who cannot appreciate the mercy of Vaishnavas should be neglected. Otherwise, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his cheating mentality will increase day by day. Interesting, right? Super interesting. That actually for the people who are envious, are angry against the Lord, if you go, this is why the ninth offense of the Supreme Lord, of the holy name. What is the ninth offense of the holy name? Anybody knows? To preach the glories of the holy name to those who are faithless. What will happen if you preach to the people who don't have faith? And people who don't have faith are those who are envious. And if you preach to them, they will become more envious and more angry, and they will almost increase their hostility of the Lord. That's why His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says one thing. He said, leave everybody with a favorable impression. And if you leave everybody with a favorable impression, means to those who don't have a favorable impression and are actually angry against Krishna, leave them. Leave them as they are. Krishna will deal with them. But a preacher, an intelligent preacher, needs to make a distinction between those who are ignorant and those who are envious. So this is a very good understanding, and I think Srila Prabhupada and Bhāgavatam summarizes very well. This is Dhruva Maharaj, 4th canto. He said, this is Narada Muni is instructing Dhruva Maharaj, Gunadikan mudam lipsed anu krosham gunadhamat maitrim samanad anvichen na taper adibhuyate. Every man should act like this. Every person should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this world. Purport. This is a very small purport. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. And when we find someone equal, we become proud of our own activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations. What a statement. All material tribulations can be attributed to this. The great sage Narada therefore advised that devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate toward him just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. So if you want to be happy in this world, which I think you all have to be, because anando mayo bihasat, we're all happy, we're seeking happiness, seeking pleasure. This is a proper way to deal with people. And dealing with people who are senior, people who are equal, people who are junior. So I have 5 minutes. I would like to speak a little bit about Srila Lochan Das Thakur. Srila Lochan Das Thakur was a great devotee of the Lord. He was a disciple of Srila Narahari Sarkar. You know, if you know the Gaur Arti, we have Kiva Narahari Adi Kori. What does he do for Lord Chaitanya? Chamaradulaya. So Narahari Sarkar was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, direct associate, and Lochan Das Thakur was his primary disciple. And Lochan Das Thakur, it was a prolific writer. He was a songwriter, and he wrote many songs. I just want to go through one song at the end of this class. I'm promising you, it's such nectar, you know. And Lochan Das Thakur is an eternal servant, a servant of Lord Chaitanya. He wrote many bhajans, and I think his crowning work was the Sri Chaitanya Mangal. Now, Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote a book called Sri Chaitanya Mangal, which was later changed to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat after Lochan Das Thakur wrote Sri Chaitanya Mangal. And Sri Lochan Das Thakur wrote many pastimes which were previously unknown, and it's mainly coming from Srila Murari Gupta's Karach. Lord Chaitanya had a person, had a associate named Srila Murari Gupta. Actually, if you look at, there are 7 authorized biographies of Lord Chaitanya, and I believe Srila Jayapataka Maharaj, he's writing a book, I think almost compiling everything together. All 7 main biographies into one. You have Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Chaitanya Mangal, Sri Murari Gupta Kadach, and there's 3 more. Sudari Prabhu, do you know the other 3? Sri Chaitanya Chandra Nataka. There's 2 more. Anyway, these are good things to know. We'll find the 7. And I'll just give you a quick pastime of Lochan Das Thakur. Lochan Das Thakur was married very young, as was the tradition in those days. And he didn't know, he spent, I think he was like very young, like 12, 13. And he didn't know, but the wife stayed with the wife's family. And when he came to this age, he started getting so much love for Lord Chaitanya. He started getting dejected from material life. He's like, I don't want material life. His parents started getting worried. This boy's already married. You know, we need to make sure he gets with sees his wife, and he can start his material life. And so basically, they send Lochan Das Thakur, and they actually get worried, and they complain to his guru that he's getting too much dejection from material life. And Narahari Sarkar tells him, you must go see your wife in her village. So Lochan Das Thakur is starting to travel to his village, and then he hasn't been there in a while. He was married when he was 12, and he asks one lady. He says, "Oh Maya, where is this certain house?" And then he goes to the house and he says, "Where is my wife?" And you know who his wife was? The wife was the person who he asked. And because he called her Maya, he calls her Mata. He called her Mataji, the mother. For the rest of his life, he considered his wife his mother. And he always respectfully worshipped he respected his mother, his wife, and he fully dedicated himself to Lord Chaitanya. And I'll just give you a little glimpse. This is one of my favorite bhajans by Lochan Das Thakur. It's one that is not so well known, unjustifiably. It should be well known. This is called Ke Jhabi Bhai Bhava Sindhu Pai. ke jabi re bhai bhava sindhu par dhanya kali juge rache tanya avatar. So this, let's listen to the scene that Lochan Das Thakur is painting. Who will go, my dear brothers, who will go? Who will cross over this ocean of material suffering? This Kali Yuga in which Sri Chaitanya Avatar has appeared is blessed. Chaitanya Avatar does not come in every Kali Yuga. At the bathing place of my dear Lord Gauranga, a free ferry boat is waiting. There's no restriction. Everyone is coming. Everyone, including the lame, the blind, and the distressed, all are climbing aboard to cross over this material existence. Now, Harinam is the boat. Harinam Nauka Khani, and what is it? Sri Guru Kandhari. Sri Guru is the helmsman of the Sankirtan party. Sankirtana Keroyala Du Bahu. The Bahu is arms. Tu Bahu Pashari. And the Sankirtan party moving with upraised arms. What are they? They're the oars of this boat. So let's remember that Harinam is the Nauka Khani, is the boat. Sri Guru is the helmsman, is the boat master. And what is the oars of this boat? Is everybody with their arms upraised chanting Hare Krishna. Now, Saba Jiva Hoilo Par Premera Vatashe. That all souls can cross over with the favorable winds of prema. All the winds of prema is taking people everywhere. But what is Lochan Das Thakur says? Padiya rohile Lochan apanar doshe. What is Lochan Das Thakur saying? Only Lochan Das is so unfortunate that due to his own fault, he has been left behind on this boat, from this boat. This is the humility of Lochan Das Thakur. Everybody's going, the dumb, the lame, the blind, but only I am not feeling this love and can cross this ocean. This is the power of our Vaishnava Acharyas. So today we can, while we're in Harinam, when we're around everywhere, we can meditate upon this, that Harinam is the boat, Guru is taking us, and we can all go back by just chanting Hare Krishna with upraised arms. And yes, we can think about Lochan Das Thakur this way. So I like to end there. Anybody have any quick comments or thoughts? Siddha Hari Prabhu? Siddha Hari Prabhu has a correction. I only take corrections from Siddha Hari Prabhu. Of which one? Which one? Okay, verse today.
So you were mentioning, you're talking about this passage, this quote from Prabhupada about temple worship. Can we read that? Okay, here you go. Temple worship is therefore meant for persons who are not so advanced that they can meditate upon the form of the Lord. So there's a couple of ways to look at it, this statement, because I was meditating on it. One is that it doesn't imply that those who are doing temple worship, they are neophytes. It is saying that it's meant for those, but it doesn't mean the other way, that those who are engaging in temple worship, they are necessarily neophytes. Those who are staying in the temple, it doesn't mean that they're not necessarily advanced.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify that. And I think you touched on it also briefly when you quoted from Prabhupada's lecture from Bhāgavatam Mandir. Prabhupada saying that also, that temple worship also is very beautiful. In fact, Sri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Samma Sindhu gives so much detail about temple worship, deity worship, and how it's one of the Navada Bhakti. And it's not that any of the Navada Bhaktis is less or more. Each of them can be perfection. I mean, you all touched on it. I just want to expand on that. And another aspect I wanted to discuss in this regard was that that those who are engaging in temple worship, why is it meant for new people? Because I was thinking that generally when people come to spiritual life, they have impersonalistic and voidistic concepts, ideas, and engaging in temple worship helps in building that personal aspect, which is lacking. Also, when we look at the beautiful forms of Shri Radha Govinda, then naturally we feel some affection, some kind of a personal relationship with them, and it's a wonderful start to one's Krishna consciousness, to have some affection for the Lord, which is not going into the void or impersonalistic ideas. So a couple of thoughts. You can comment on those if you like.
Yeah, actually, Prabhupada, very, very, very nice points, is that Prabhupada in previous verses, he says that, I believe the day that Ramroy Prabhu gave, that they were saying that actually this deity worship is actually, it's required. You needed to, as you said, to establish that this, to regulate ourselves almost. Because if we weren't to regulate ourselves because we're in material consciousness, how would we ever get to the point of Krishna consciousness? So the Acharyas have given this Pancharatrika Vidhi, is that, I think Srila Jiva Goswami, he says that out of Bhagavad Vidhi and Pancharatrika Vidhi, Bhagavad Vidhi is more important, but Pancharatriki Vidhi should not be given up. Because Pancharatriki Vidhi, which is this deity worship, and rules and regulations, it regulates the senses. Waking up at a certain time, chanting a certain number of rounds. These are very, very important. And not chanting a certain amount of rounds, but doing a standard worship. It actually regulates our worship of the Lord. And anything that is counted, anything that you can count, even the Goswamis were counting how many times they paid obeisances, how many rounds they chanted. Anything that you can measure, you can grow. If you don't measure, and unless you're on the platform of pure, spontaneous devotional service where you're completely attached to Krishna, then you need to grow also. So, and that has by counting and regulation. So thank you, Siddhari Prabhu. Anybody else has any comments, thoughts, questions? Samaksh? Okay, thank you so much for everybody for attending. Grantaraj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Lochan Das Thakur ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Boo.
I've never heard